2 events in the same weekend, MetaZoo? I'm impressed, but was it worth it? The first announcement this week is one that I don't have a ton of information on, but is pretty exciting. They announced that there's going to be a MetaZoo Emporium storefront in Las Vegas. I've never really wanted to go to Vegas before, gambling's really not my thing, but this could be quite interesting. Vegas itself is already a popular tourist attraction, so MetaZoo having a storefront in Vegas would be huge publicity there. With the MetaZoo playing cards coming out, they could actually use that to their advantage and maybe have a few poker tables. And who knows, maybe in the future we'll see evolutions of video slots with MetaZoo. So while Vegas really isn't my scene, I do actually see a ton of benefit to MetaZoo opening up a storefront in Vegas. Many of you know that LPA recently opened 20,000 wilderness packs or 2,000 spellbooks. Continuing on from that, Bailey and his team are now working on opening up 500 Nightfall booster boxes. Will he pull an old scratch? Well, chances are actually somewhat good. There were 50,000 Nightfall booster boxes. Old Scratch can only be pulled in Nightfall booster boxes, so assuming even distribution, Old Scratch is pulled in 1 out of every 500 booster boxes. So chances are, by the time that Bailey and his team are done, they'll have an Old Scratch. Mike has shown us 2 different versions of a Mothman icon. This is a simple icon that MetaZoo wants to take on as a new type of logo. Of the 2 versions, one had eyes and the other did not, and the community got to vote for which one that they thought was the better one to use, and the eyes have it. Now, I'm really glad that this one won. This is the one that I personally like better. The only thing that I think would make it a little more Mothman MetaZoo would be if the eyes were red. We did get an announcement about the Salem release event this week. MetaZoo did announce that space is going to be limited for that event, and the weekend that it's happening in Salem is quite busy. Salem itself is known for the Salem witch trials, which took place around 1692 to 1693, and has become a hub for all things spooky this time of year. The Salem release event is happening on the busiest weekend of the entire year for Salem, Massachusetts. So it's likely that MetaZoo couldn't obtain a very large event hall. Tickets will still be free, but as far as they've announced so far, the only ways to get them are through contests. There's a costume contest where 10 winners will be chosen on October 7th. You can enter the costume contest by posting your pictures in the costume contest room on the Discord. There's also a pumpkin carving contest, so if that's more your style, if you want to carve some MetaZoo pumpkins, that contest ends October 13th, and you enter that the same way. You'll upload your pictures to a room in the Discord for the pumpkin carving contest. The third way to get your ticket to Salem is going to be much harder, but requires much less skill. Anybody that pulls an Old Scratch on camera, you need to have the date written down on a piece of paper in the video, between now and October 20th, will also receive a ticket to the Salem release event. Now, I'm a little bummed by this news because Salem is very close to where I live. It's probably the only event that I could really make this year. I did recently open a Nightfall booster box in hopes to pull an Old Scratch to gate and ticket. Spoilers, I was unsuccessful. But I do really respect that MetaZoo is not just making it a first-come, first-serve race to order your tickets to get to Salem. They're making it more about the contests and putting some work in to be able to make that event. Spoiler season for Seance has now started, and they've announced a number of partners that will start being able to show spoilers off and the dates that they're going to do it. LPA has already shown off their spoilers, which was 2 cards, one for Death and one for this French canoe. I'm gonna botch the name, so I'm not even gonna try there. And Cards to Go did their spoiler on the 15th for Casey Jones. 3 more cards were also shown off at Kansas City Collecticon, Embedding the Soul, Sentry Box Devil, and Scorched Pages. And I have to say, of all of the spoilers that we've seen so far for Seance, they all seem incredibly powerful. I haven't seen a card in this set so far that I'm not excited to try to use. And for future spoilers, on the 20th, you can check out Igkakambra and Aussie Brickster. On the 22nd, PokeZoo. On the 27th, Catch 'em All Collectibles. On October 2nd, Argos with Argos Anonymous. On October 5th, PokeCharles. On the 9th, Aloha Card Shop. On October 12th, The Major Nerd. On the 15th, Kitchen Table TCG. On the 19th, Sneak Outs. And what's interesting here is Seance releases on the 21st, but we actually have 2 partners that'll be doing spoilers on the 23rd and 26th after the release. On the 23rd, you can get a spoiler from Southern Heat Collectibles, and on the 26th, Caster Society. So I'm really curious to see what the spoilers after the release are. I imagine those are going to be quite big and not related necessarily to the cards. Care packages for the full set holders are being sent out, and there's a number of samples that were shown off that could be possible gifts for these full set token holders. The care set packages contain various products that are very valuable, and some of what was shown off here is a sample Mothman, a sample Babe, a sample Dover Demon, a sample Battery Aura and Aura Generator, and a sample Fire Elemental. Behind that, you can see an uncut sheet. So is the uncut sheet part of the care package? I'm not a full set token holder, so I can't tell you. Another thing being sent out this week are the Playtester cards. MetaZoo showed us stacks upon stacks of Wilderness Playtester cards. And going back to recent teases, we now know that these can now come in holo form. Until now, Playtester cards were never in holo form, so you'll never find a holo Cryptid Nation or Nightfall Playtester card. We have another look at the mock-up for the New York City Comic-Con booth. The booth will be 2 stories and contain an area for artists to be behind the counter when they're doing their signings. Behind the artist area is a familiar sight. There's going to be another Seance tent, and this one is enclosed on 3 of the 4 sides. This is a valuable lesson learned from the Long Beach Collecticon, where it was a pop-up tent, and people were trying to steal the tarot cards from the card reader by reaching under the sides of the tent. The upper story of the Seance booth depicts a large Seance crystal ball, so it's going to be very easy to find this booth. And alongside this announcement, Andy had said, and yes, it glows, alongside an emoji of the Seance crystal ball. It's unclear exactly what's going to be glowing, but I imagine it's going to be the sign on the second story, making it even more evident on where MetaZoo is. Now, we do know there's going to be a lot of partnerships and a lot of new items at New York City Comic-Con, of which we have the red bordered tarot cards. They're going to be first available through a partnership with eBay Live, so if you're looking forward to the tarot cards, be ready during the New York Comic-Con event. We also know that the plushies are going to be available for the first time at New York Comic-Con. We got to look at 2 of the finalized versions of the plushies this week. We have the Pysa Bird, and we have, well, the back of Mothman. Up until now, all of the plushie teases have been the prototypes. And as a reminder there was mentioned previously that there will be 20 plushies spanning Cryptid Nation, Nightfall, Wilderness, and UFO. On top of that, New York City Comic-Con will have 9 promos, and we got to look at some of these this week. This week we got to see PSA, What's Your Passion, and Pin Club. In the past, we've seen a MetaZoo stamp artifact, and there are many partners that are going to be at New York Comic-Con. So what could some of the other artifact stamps be? My guess would be Funko, Invasion Toys, New York City Comic-Con itself, eBay Live, and I'm sure I'm missing some other collaboration that will be at New York Comic-Con, but there are a ton of possibilities. And while we're on the subject of What's Your Passion, we do now know that What's Your Passion is going to release at the end of September. You'll have the options of either 92.5% silver or 18 karat gold, and we've seen a number of the pendants so far. We've seen Pysa Bird, Flatwoods Monster, Loveland Frogman, Mothman, and most recently, Babe and Hoop Snake. And alongside the newest announcement, we actually get a look at the artifact promos that you'll be getting with the What's Your Passion jewelry. There will be a silver and a gold artifact promo. To be able to activate the abilities of these promos, you have to be wearing silver and gold jewelry respectively. Silver Passion is a 1-drop neutral artifact that, when fatigued, allows you to recover 25 life points to target caster or beastie. And it itself has 50 life points, so it's about as easy to remove as something like an artifact essence. Gold Passion is a little more powerful. At the cost of 2 neutral aura, it allows the caster to regain 50 life points. Coming in at 75 life points for this artifact, it will be a little harder to remove from the battlefield. Now, these artifacts don't have fleet, so when they enter the battlefield, you're not going to be able to use them right away. They're going to be vulnerable for 1 turn, and then on your next turn you'll be able to use them. So it's very easy for an opponent to decide to take those out before you can start recovering life points. There are 2 options here though. You could use Magic Engineer's Oil to awaken it right away, Or you could place it down expecting to lose it. It's a distraction so you can keep your other beasties alive. And then if they don't destroy it, you can start recovering some LP. So all in all, I'm actually pretty excited for these artifacts. Since they do stay on the field, you'll be able to gain life points back every turn that it's on the field. It's still unclear at this time if the What's Your Passion drop is going to be blind box, or if you're going to be able to choose the pendant that you want to buy. And I will keep you updated on these details as we learn more about the What's Your Passion release closer to the end of the month. Chris Campman is now stepping down as the MetaZoo art director. Chris took over the role last November from Victor Larson, and in Chris's tenure, he's overseen Wilderness, UFO, and Seance, as well as many of the mini-sets that we've seen in between. Taking over as art director is someone you may know from Twitch, Alex. Alex has her own successful Twitch channel with over 63,000 subscribers. You can also commonly find her on her husband's channel, Pay Money Wubby, which she also manages. Alex officially starts her tenure on September 19th, 2022. Only 3 days after Alex was appointed to the role of art director, MetaZoo announced that they're going to be making a statue of the Pay Money Wubby promo, Green Goblin. And I'd love to know how the conversation around this started, because Alex's first order of business as the new art director is to oversee the creation of a statue of her husband. Weird flex, MetaZoo. We've started seeing a number of LGS partnership announcements this week, and there are a bunch of great new partners that we've seen so far. The first partner announced is Monterey Bay Casters Association, which is based out of Monterey, California. That announcement was followed up by Smoke Squad Collective. And on Sunday, MetaZoo Crew and Super Galactic Games and Comics were announced as new MetaZoo partners. And I'm incredibly excited to announce two more that are very personal to me. First, we have Caster's Corner. Caster's Corner is a new partner for MetaZoo, and Caster's Corner helped me out very early on in this channel. My first giveaway, my 250 subscriber giveaway, was done on Caster's Corner. That relationship evolved, and now on the Caster's Corner YouTube channel, we actually have a podcast that we do weekly called Cryptid Conversations, where myself, Caster MJ, and Deadly, who run the Caster's Corner Discord, talk about all things MetaZoo. We have a few episodes under our belt, and they're getting better with each episode, in my opinion, so definitely check that out. There's a link in the description below if you want to watch the latest episode. So congratulations to Caster's Corner. The second one is also very special to me. It's our sponsor for this channel, Immortal Workshop. Immortal Workshop reached out to me around the same time that I started working with Caster's Corner. Back in April, I applied for a sponsorship with Immortal Workshop, and he accepted me. At that time, I didn't even have 250 subscribers yet, so he really took a chance, and I really appreciate it. And I know many of you have already ordered from Immortal Workshop and gotten one of his handwritten notes in your packages. John is a very delightful person to work with, and somebody who has proven to me time and again that they're here for the community. So it's been a very special and emotional week to get those announcements that Immortal Workshop and Caster's Corner are now MetaZoo official partners. And that's a great segue into the Immortal Workshop weekly trivia. Last week's question was, name the beastie that, after its transformation, still hungers for the hearts of the young. Now, surprisingly, nobody got this question right. A lot of people said Wendigo. Wendigo is not the correct answer. So I'm going to double down on this. If you can answer which beastie, after its transformation, still hungers for the hearts of the young, leave a comment below if you think you know the answer. Next week, you could win a $30 gift card to Immortal Workshop, and that gift card could be used to pre-order some Seance on October 5th, now that he's a partner. So now for our top story. There were two events this weekend. First up was the Mothman Festival, and the main staff that was at the Mothman Festival were Jet Yates doing signings, and Ted. There really wasn't a lot of staff sent to the Mothman Festival. There were also members of the community there giving out packs. Dad Hat, Termentic, and John from Immortal Workshop were going around wearing black Ask Me About MetaZoo shirts, and if you asked them about MetaZoo, you'd get a pack of cards. The Mothman Festival itself was wildly successful. From what I hear, Jet never really got a break from signing cards. Looking at posts online, I'm also seeing that a lot more people seem to have gone to the Mothman Festival than Kansas City Collecticon. And I'm honestly surprised by this. I would have thought it would have been the opposite. I would have thought that Collecticon would have been where more people would have wanted to go. Mainly because the Collecticon is going to have more variety in TCGs. You're not there just for MetaZoo. You're there for many other different TCGs such as Interstellar or Magic or Cryptic. And the Mothman Festival is more about celebrating the Mothman and the lore around Mothman. And yeah, MetaZoo definitely fits into that, but you're not going to find other collectible card games there. So I'm incredibly surprised to hear that the turnout for the Mothman Festival seemed to be much higher than the turnout for Collecticon. Now, there was a special promo given out at the Mothman Festival, and this is one that I just incredibly love. I hope to get one. The art is of Mothman flying over the baseball game from the start of the MetaZoo Cryptid Nation's story. The promo itself was not available at the festival. You will have to wait to receive that. Overall, it seemed like an incredibly fun time, and there are many things to do at the Mothman Festival beyond the booths. There are different bus tours you can take. You can explore the area, learn about the lore. There's the Mothman Museum. So there's definitely a lot to do in Point Pleasant. After seeing some of the coverage that I've seen this year, I would actually honestly try to go next year. The other event this weekend was the Kansas City Collecticon, and the turnout there did not seem quite as large as we've seen at other Collecticons. MetaZoo did send most of its artists to this event. Kelsey Giacchino was there, Poncho was there, Chris Campman was there, as well as Afton. From what I hear, you could also find Andy there. At previous Collecticons, they've had no problem getting rid of the plushies. From what I'm hearing, they actually allowed people to buy multiple this time. And the promo this time is pretty cute, actually. It is the Cumberland Dragon, this time without the egg on its head, and it's fallen over. So this iteration isn't really too far off from the last one. It is going to lose the egg on its head. I am curious if the rings on the kneecaps are going to make an appearance again. In the last plushie, the rings were missing, but I do plan on getting one of the plushies as well. I have all of the other ones. And the big event that happened at the Kansas City Collecticon is that they had a tournament. 62 people registered for the tournament, and from what I can tell on the MPN, it looks like about 38 actually competed. Taking first place, and the first place promo is Easton Evans. Congratulations, Easton, on another win. Second place also went to a member of Caster Society, Artur Tabernacki, and third place went to Tuffy, who's playing for Metaversity. Now, what I'm curious about is, with running two events on the same weekend, did Kansas City Collecticon suffer because the Mothman Festival was also happening? How many people that went to the Mothman Festival would have went to the Collecticon if they didn't conflict with each other? And again, I think this is really interesting because I feel like this is the opposite turnout than what I expected. I also feel like this is the opposite turnout than what MetaZoo had expected, considering that they only sent Jet and Ted to the Mothman Festival, and they sent 4 artists to Kansas City Collecticon. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think that MetaZoo should try to avoid conflicting events? Or do you think that both events were successful in their own ways and that it's okay to have 2 events on the same weekend? So thank you for watching this week's news update. And if you haven't caught the most recent episode of Cryptid Conversations, the podcast I do with Caster's Corner, you can catch that right here, where we talk about deck building and we open some Hero Quest packs.